All right, having a sip of tea as we go live for the second weekly edition of the Movie Spreadsheets Streaming Wars. So I'm really excited for this. I know I missed last week, which was horrendous and just terrible on me, but a, a lot of awesome things. A lot of awesome things are happening on the spreadsheet this week. So still trying to figure out all the wrinkles of live streaming. I think I've got it. Megs, give me a quick little comment in the chat if I've got it sorted and you can hear me. Let's see if the chat works too. All right, so let's get right into this, and let's talk about the spreadsheet first of all. Let's actually go right into here. Let's give you my awesome, amazing intro graphic right here. And so here is what I'm doing right now. I am going through the streaming services and I'm trying to determine where are the best movies. In my mind, I have an idea that the best movies are occurring, that they're being streamed on. I think for me, they're probably being streamed on HBO, right? HBO produces the best movies, and then Netflix would probably be second. But is that true? And as these streaming prices are increasing, right? And as going to the movies essentially with AMC Premier List is getting now even cheaper, it's like, where is there truly a value if you're trying to see a bunch of movies? Now, not necessarily the older stuff, because that would bring in a whole different conversation. But what we're really looking at here is like, where are the best movies? I ran into an issue this week, so here's my amazing graphic you can see on the screen. And these are all the streaming services that I'm going to cover. So basically, if any streaming service has more than 10 million subscribers, it's up here. And hiding behind me right here in the graphic is Apple TV. And so the big change, the big addition to the week was Stars. So I actually added Stars, gave myself an extra week to watch an extra movie, which was completely unacceptable. So let's get right into this. Here's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna do all the movies I've watched. Okay, and we're gonna look at the spreadsheet, and then we're gonna move through the movies that we watched. I'm gonna have some questions for you, and then we're gonna keep going. So let's go ahead and go into the spreadsheet. And the big thing for the spreadsheet I want to look at is right here. So I'll pull this over more so it's more on the screen. This is where we are. So our average is down. 5.927 is lower than it's ever been. I said that last week, and I'll say it again this week. And then what it shows you here is that the cleanse is actually the closest movie to the average. I'm not sure if you've seen the cleanse, but it's, you drink this stuff comes out of you. Anyways, top third cutoff, low, 7.45, which is the Saints of Newark, which is the Sopranos essentially prequel movie. And then middle third cutoff, 4.775, which is the Holdovers. Now look, a 5 isn't a bad score on the spreadsheet. A 4 honestly isn't a bad score on the spreadsheet. It's just the way that I look at movies is that if something is a 0, it's like the worst thing I've ever seen. So on my spreadsheet, that would be the Requiem. So you can see where it exists on my spreadsheet all the way down here. Hope this doesn't make you sick. Here we go. The Requiem, the worst movie that I've ever, that's on the spreadsheet. But a 4 or 5, so that's a 0. A 1, 2, or 3 is bad. So that's what you can see here by this notation. A 1, 2, or 3 is bad. 4, 5, or 6 is okay. 7, 8, or 9 is good. And then a 10 is obviously amazing. Okay. So that's the status of the spreadsheet. Check. We've done that update. Let's get right into the movies. Just kind of loosely talk about them, all spoiler free. And why don't we go ahead and just jump right into The Naked Gun? Now, for Paramount, there was really 2 movies I was looking at. The first was The Naked Gun, which I had like a ton of warnings, like do not watch this movie under any circumstance. It's awful. But the thing about The Naked Gun is it's only an hour and 14 minutes. So it's really short. So between two movies, I could choose a short movie and pick up one of those guaranteed points for having the shortest movie. And so that's what I did. I chose The Naked Gun. The other movie I was considering was the Dakota Fanning horror movie called Vicious. And I'll say, I just feel like for October is really the time where I feel like the streaming services just dump horror movies in there and aren't really too concerned with putting out those really awesome big movies, because they can kind of get away with being like, here's some crappy horror movie that we acquired for very little amount of money and, enjoy because it's Halloween season. That's what everybody does. And so while Vicious, I was expecting it to be something different, something better. Vicious was actually pretty bad. Let me pull it up on the spreadsheet right now. Vicious. Here we go. Oh my days. There you go. So 1.3. It was a really bad movie. And so, The Naked Gun ends up, being equally terrible. So it's not like it would have made that big of a difference. So let's go ahead and move over to the streaming grid, and we can see where The Naked Gun ranks. So The Naked Gun was a 1.4 and Vicious was a 1.3. Now, the difference is that because it's an hour and 14, that's the shortest amount of, here, I'll put it over here. That's the shortest amount of time per week. We're going to pick up that one bonus points because it's the shortest movie of the week. This is just like a simple nod to F1, right? Like fastest lap gets like an extra point, right? Or used to, and it was a great thing. Now they don't. Anyways, so 1 point for Naked Gun for having the shortest movie of the week. This movie was awful, and only an hour and 14 minutes. I think I maybe laughed twice. I go over all this in my short section, so if you ever want to just watch my little mini review for it, it's in the short section. I just really didn't understand why this movie was even made, right? We have The Naked Gun. If you want to watch something silly and slapstick, you can watch those Naked Guns. I don't think many people were crying out for a new Naked Gun movie. It was a weird choice to choose Liam Neeson. I'm a big Liam Neeson fan. This one just didn't make a lot of sense to me, and I really regret watching it. But again, it was only an hour and 14 minutes. But I think I noted in my video, my short, that I had to get up at one point and move my phone across the room because I was so bored by this movie that I was constantly checking my phone. So that's where that ranks. That's actually the worst movie of the week. So we can go ahead and pencil in here a 9. And we know that because it's a 9, it's not going to pick up any points. Sorry, little voice issue there. And I'll have to get the spreadsheet updated a little better. So we know it's a 0 for points because of its place, but we know it has that one bonus point. So it ends up with one overall bonus point for, there you go, for The Naked Gun. Okay. I would really pass on this one. I don't know many people are going to find this one funny. It was really bad. So didn't really like it. All right, let's move into The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Now, this one I was really interested in because, the original Hand That Rocks the Cradle came out, more than 30 years ago. I'm a big fan of Mike Monroe. I think she's awesome in the horror movie. She just has this horror look and feel to her, which I really like. I really like in her movies. She makes me feel, uneasy with her characters, and I really like that when I'm watching a horror movie. So she's awesome. This movie is the quintessential slow burn. It takes forever to get going. It's really slow because it's trying to set up this whole idea of, she's bad essentially. And, that's the premise of the movie. She's bad. I'm not going to spoil anything. My brother-in-law was like, I haven't seen this movie, but I have seen the original. Does it add? And I was like, no, it's not nothing that much different. It's just reintroducing a story to a new generation. So how does The Hand That Rocks the Cradle fare? I guess we should just kind of move through the spreadsheet right now and kind of chunk these out, and then we'll go back and add all the data points in. So that's my take on Hand That Rocks the Cradle. The end is really cool, and there's some really awesome graphic scenes in it where I was just like, damn, okay, this was intense. So I think the ending's worth it. I rated it really highly in terms of the ending. Let me pull it up right here. It's the only movie I reviewed with hand in it, so ending, give it 8.5. Let me get this up here so we can see Let's get a little zoom out for you so it's a little bit easier. There we go. So Hand That Rocks the Cradle. 8.5 for ending, 8 length. It's like an hour and 45 minutes. It's just really slow. Achievement goal, not very scary. And then entertainment, again, I think like the entertainment for the second half, not second half, like last third was really high. But then that first hour, it just wasn't really there. It was kind of boring. So that's the Hand That Rocks the Cradle. And then just remember, anything that's in the spreadsheet, which is in the description below and on the YouTube channel, anything that's in the spreadsheet is able to be like clicked on, and then you're able to like watch a review for that one. So I have a short for that one out. So definitely check it out. I think if you want something slow to go on in the background, this is a great movie for that. And then in the end, you're just going to end up like watching this movie. You're just going to end up watching like the last part of this movie and maybe like, okay, the mom's a little bit crazy. Okay, she's a little crazy. Okay, and then it's all going to come to a head, which it does, and that's the movie. So that's The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Let's talk about Honey Don't Now, which is honestly, it's like my most viewed video is the short for Honey Don't. And this is a movie that my wife recommended to me. She was like, I want you to watch this movie. Watch this movie. Tell me if it's any good. So like in our house, what we do is my wife doesn't really watch a lot of movies. So I watch movies. I watch a ton of movies, and then like I watch so many movies that I created a YouTube channel for and I created a spreadsheet around it. But she'll like watch a lot of TV shows. And then she'll ask me like, hey, is there anything good that you think I would like? And Honey Don't was one of those movies she wanted me to watch. So I kind of like see if it was good. I mean, I was just completely shocked by the content and the nature of this movie. And I'll say like, I'm a Joel Coen guy. I'm not an Ethan Coen guy. I think Joel Coen has like the better solo movies. Fargo, Ballad of Buster Scruggs. I was just really not a fan of this movie for I think a bunch of different reasons. Well, let me get it up right here so we can see where Honey Don't is. There you go. So 4.8. I mean, it's just below a 5, which is totally fine. A length was great. It's really short, but everything else is just okay. Remember, fives and 4s just represent it being okay, as we can see right here. So a 5 is okay. 5, 4, okay scores. Nothing's terrible here. Adult situations galore. I was shocked. I was completely shocked by it. I was looking for more of this like murder mystery, and what you get is like a really light murder mystery. Really not a murder mystery at all, in my opinion. So in my short, I referenced like it reminds me a lot of the BJ Novak movie Vengeance. So Honey Don't 4.8, but I think Peacock is a sleeper. I think Peacock can potentially win this thing. And I think they can win it really for 2 reasons. One, they get a lot of good movies. Like they have good connections with whatever they're paying for it. I don't know how any of that works, so I'm not going to act like I'm an expert in it. But then 2 is that they're putting out new movies all the time. So there's always selection. So what's really interesting is that certain services, I didn't run into it this week, but I'm already running into it for the next episode. Certain services just are not putting out enough movies. So it's kind of like I almost don't have a choice. Whereas other services, the issue is that there are so many movies to choose from. Like Netflix has so many movies to pick from that I could be missing a lot because I can only really choose one, and they're putting out a lot each week. Peacock kind of does like 1 a week. HBO does like 1 a week, and then there's always like this HBO weekly special where they skip one and release something that nobody wants to watch. And then finally, you have on the other side of that, you have Disney, which doesn't put out a ton, and you have Apple TV, which definitely doesn't put out a ton. So it'll be interesting to see how all those things compare, and we'll talk about that once we get more into the spreadsheet. Let's move into the 8th one, which was supposed to be the last one, but it's not. So this is The Lost Bus. Okay, I've watched 3 movies with the word lost in it. Okay, it's better than The Lost Husband. It's not better than Lost in Translation, and it's right in between. So overall score for The Lost Bus was a 6.75. So that is above the average, well above the average. I was shocked how much I enjoyed watching this movie. Again, 6.75 is a good score, right? Like that's above that okay category. It's almost in that good category. Entertainment value 7 out of 10. Achievement a goal. Tell a story of these 2018 fires. I thought was really good. Ending. Now I hate being the person that's like, I don't like the ending of a true story, but really when you watch this movie, like, okay, they made a movie about this. So you kind of know like in the end, what's going to happen. And then you really know like in the end, one of 2 things is going to happen. And because of that, you hear that voice, because of that, it kind of limits like the score for the end for me. And then length, it was long. It was really long. It was like 2 hours and 10 minutes. Or it's 2 hours and 7 minutes. It just continues to have like something happens and then we have a small problem and they fix it and then it's good and then something happens and we have a small problem and it's that cycle over and over again. And we could probably do without a few of those cycles. Like I think if you cut out one of those cycles, we would be in really good shape. So that's the Lost Bus. And then I had a big issue. And my big issue was Starz. Starz is sitting there at a ridiculous price per month. It's the cheapest service per month. Not even close. Like I'm paying $5 a month for it. And that's like no ads, 4K, it's everything. Now the app is awful. Like the app has a really hard time remembering where you're resuming from. And so you have to like when you have Starz on, like before you close it, you have to like look at where you are at the bottom so that you know like, hey, I have 24 minutes left in this movie, and then come back in. So let's move over to Flight Risk, which is on Starz, as you can see, put right there in Mark Wahlberg's face. And wow, let me just say, wow. It's the only movie with flight in it on the spreadsheet. So here we go, 4.3. I am shocked that Mark Wahlberg took this role. His character was insane. I mean, you can see the tagline of the image right there. Y'all need a pilot. That's a crazy tagline for the movie poster. I had no idea it was Mel Gibson. My voice is just all over the place right now. Apologies for the voice cracking. It was a strange movie for me, but hey, like it was like really, really short. It gets a 10 for length, nice work. It gets a 3 for ending because it's just such a stupid ending. It gets a 4 for achievement, a goal if it's supposed to be thrillery. It's not in all. Man, this movie had the opportunity to set it up so well. It's almost like they didn't understand like what the thrill was supposed to be, and they move in and out of that thrill so fast, or what could be great, that it was just a huge missed opportunity for me. And then entertainment, yeah, it was pretty slow. It's pretty boring for parts of it. And then you have a little bit of thrill in the middle, and you're like, okay, all right, cool. And then it ends, and you're like, well, we just completely blew the opportunity. I do have a penalty for this one, so a penalty of 3 here. I had a really hard time with some of the dialogue, like the things that Mark Wahlberg was saying was just absolutely crazy, and then some of the effects were just awful. I mean, this was a movie where I don't really notice bad acting, but man, this movie, I noticed it. So I also don't notice like great acting. Like this was a movie that really struck me for not being amazing, but honestly 4.3. So that being said, we've hit all those big points. Let's now move back into here. And then let's go to the streaming grid. Let's get the streaming grid all situated and all sorted and all looked at. And then we can figure out the new order for next week. And then I can check the chat and I can say like what movies we should be going for. I did run into some choices here. Like, did I make the good choice with Honey Don't? Should I have chosen How to Train Your Dragon? But let's go through, sort everything out. Okay, so we know we got that 1 bonus point given Naked Gun for the shortest movie. We know that there's not going to be a bonus point for converting poll to win because Netflix actually went first. Okay, so Netflix went first. And because Netflix went first, they were essentially on the poll. So we're going to say no poll to win here. Or I should say no poll. And that's going to be no point for Netflix because if you have to choose first, and this is the whole logic behind it, is that if you have to choose first, you're at a huge disadvantage because you have the shortest amount of time. Like Apple TV isn't really in trouble for this week, and I have a separate entire slide and image for Apple TV. If you have to choose first, it's a huge disadvantage. So if you choose first and you get a win, it should be worth more. So it's just an extra point, and I may end up tweaking that because that's a really small amount to be rewarding only a point for. So that may come with a tweak. All right, so Women in Cabin 10. All right, let's go from last to first. So we've got The Naked Gun was easily the worst, 1.4. And remember, I also watched Vicious, which was a 1.3. So it always feels good when, I watch 2 movies from the streaming service and they're roughly the same and it wouldn't really affect the order. So complete waste of time for me. I wouldn't recommend either of them. But Naked Gun, 9th place. So no good there. All right, next up is going to be the 3.75 for HBO, which is going to be The Substance. Like this is one I saw in the theater. I talked about before. I just really felt like this was two different movies, and if it were the first movie or the second movie, the first part was the full movie or the second part was the full movie, it'd be better either way. I wasn't really a fan of this, so it's going to have no bonus points, and we know that the weekly points are now going to be 4 points for 8th place. All right, so we're looking good there. And then now we're going to go from that 3.75. And we're going to find the next highest one, which is that 4.3. So it's flight risk. We have no bonus points. And maybe I should. Like, if you're like, there should be more bonus points. Dude, absolutely. Like, comment in the video, what should I reward bonus points for? And I'll get them added. I like having a bunch of bonus points that people can hit. Like, is Sam Rockwell in the movie? It is bonus point. All right, so 7th place is worth 6 points. So, I mean, look, Stars is just, if Stars doesn't finish in last place, it's going to be a huge win because it's really cheap, right? Like there could be some good movies in there and Ballerinas in there. So I can always watch that. That's probably my next Stars one, but I won't have to make the decision for a while because 7th place. All right. So after 4.3, we got 4.8, we got 4.9. So it's this one right here. Honey Don't. So NBC is 6. No bonus points. And we know that 6th place is going to get us 8 points. All right, so for Honey Don't, for Peacock's interesting because Peacock has How to Train Your Dragon out, and they just got Jurassic World Rebirth. So, again, Peacock has decisions. Now, again, that puts more pressure on me to make decisions for these movies to make sure that I'm choosing the right movie. And I'm like, the other thing I'm kind of struggling with is this idea of, do I choose movies that I think I'm going to like the best against the best score, or do I choose the movies that are going to be like the most clickbaity that make me make shorts and have more people drive into it? But I think the whole notion of streaming wars is what streaming service has the best movies. So I need to do a combination of the biggest movies that they release and then also movies I think are going to score really well for me. So, all right, so we got Honey Don't 6 for the 4.8, and then just beating out that 4.8 is Elio. And that is huge for Disney. So Disney finishing low and not early allows this entire week to go by. And if you're up to date on movie releases, the Fantastic Four comes out this week streaming on Disney. So that's an absolutely huge move. Now, if Disney had scored really high, I'd be in a lot of trouble. I'd probably have to watch Lilo and Stitch because there's not a recent new release besides that. But because of its place, they get a 5. Oops. Bonus points are 0. Weekly points for 5th place is 10. So we're looking good with Disney with 10. After that 4.9, we get moving at 4.975. So this is Hulu. Again, we're going to have some issues with Hulu. Hulu doesn't get out a ton of new movies at a time, and a lot of them are pulled from Disney. So we'll take that. We'll take that 4th place for Hulu. So let's see what 4th place gets us. 4th place gets us 12. And then 3rd place, we see that big jump. So 3rd place was Woman in Cabin 10. So if you had told me after seeing the first movie that a 5.85 would be the 3rd highest score, I'd probably been like, I chose some really bad movies, or I didn't have a lot of options. So week rank 3, this is worth 15. And again, Netflix is going to be so set up to pick whenever they want to pick because there's so much stuff on there. It's just, do I choose the right movie? And then 2nd place is going to be Play Dirty, which I was really surprised I liked as much as I did. It's the second Mark Wahlberg movie I watched this week, and this is worth 20 points, I believe. Nope, 18 points. And then finally, we're going to go to number 1, which was Apple TV with The Lost Bus. So 0 points for that. And then we're going to go 25. Boom. And that's the way the grid is shaking up. And so what we're just going to do now is we're going to move in. We're going to move in these into here. So Apple TV on 25. We've got Amazon Prime going next in that 2nd spot. We've got Netflix going 3rd. In the 4th spot, we've got Hulu. In the 5th spot, we've got Disney Plus. In the 6th spot, we're going to have Peacock. In the 7th spot, we're going to have Stars. In the 8th spot, we're going to have HBO, which is shocking, which is going to give me a lot to choose from. And I've already seen Weapons. So it's like the other issue is like if I've already seen a movie, like I've already seen Weapons, saw it in the theater, like that can count as that release. And I actually have like the spreadsheet. So I can go over here. I can go to Weapons. Let's find it. All right, so Weapons 6.65. So the question becomes, this actually makes it kind of interesting, is if do I choose a movie that I think, like if I choose Weapons, then that's a 6.65 right there, and that would be 3rd this week. That'd be a great place for HBO, and then it allows me to save another new release. Whereas if I choose a new release, then I might get penalized for watching Weapons, which I'm going to talk about here in a second. Okay, so we've got HBO, which is Weapons, and then in last place we obviously are going to have the atrocious The Naked Gun. So this is the pick order, and then we have point-wise, we have 18. Nope, don't want money on that, just 18 regular. Let's take that money sign off of it. Don't know how to take that money sign off it. We just want this to be a number. Just a number. Okay. Love those decimal points behind it too. We gotta get rid of those. Bing, bing. Okay, 18. All right, Netflix we have with 15. Awesome, it's in white. Okay, let's just do this. Let's do it all at once. Reset the color, and we'll make the color red. We'll make it all numbers. There we go. And then we'll move this over to bang. Okay. 25, 18, 15. Then what do we got? 12, 10. Okay, so we got 12. And then it's just 2s, 10, 8s, 6, 4, and then what should be a 0 is a 1. So Paramount picks up a point. Avoid the bottom. Okay. So that's where we are right now. Let's make sure all these fonts are the same too. No reason to have different fonts. Defaults. Okay, well that's looking great. This is going to drive me absolutely crazy if I don't have that bottom line in. So let's add that bottom line. Bam. Okay, and there we are. And I'm gonna let this sit right here for you so you guys can see where we're standing with the overall roles in the spreadsheet or on the streaming grid wars. We got Apple TV in first, Amazon Prime in second, Netflix in third. And those are kind of the big three, because then the gaps between those are huge. So the gap between Prime and Netflix and Hulu is 3 each, and then the gap for winning the movie is 7. So that's a huge gap. Definitely need to come up with some more bonus points. Okay. So that's everything. I'm liking what we're talking about. Let's jump to an issue that I have right now. So I'm going to switch over to here, go into flight risk. And now you just see me in my amazing room. I got my candy in the corner right here. The greatest candy ever, which is Scandinavian Swimmers from Trader Joe's. Okay. Let's talk about the problem that I have. And, well, I don't have anybody in. I have one person in the chat, which I really appreciate. Apple TV does have phenomenal TV shows. I love that comment. That's so true. Is it the best streaming service for TV shows? I mean, you can definitely make that argument, and I think I would. Okay. So here's where we are right now. Here's the problem that the spreadsheet is having with streaming wars, and we need to resolve this problem. So here's what I got. If you look at Apple TV, so Apple TV is choosing first. Okay, so that means I have to watch a movie for Apple TV in the next 48 hours, essentially, to keep pace. So I'm going to try to watch 9 movies every 2 weeks. So that's 9 movies in 14 days. Look at that math right there. Boom. Either 5 and 4 or 4 and 5. So over here on the screen, you can see I've outlined this amazing graphic for you. This is all the movies that Apple TV has released since 2020, since March of 2024. So it's Napoleon, bottom right corner, was March 2024. So we'll say a year and 4 months, 6 months. I have no idea how many months it is. Year and 7 months, year and a half, whatever. And so the problem with that is, first of all, a lot of these are documentaries. So documentaries cannot be on the list. And what's interesting is, like, you have Napoleon, right? And then they release another version of Napoleon in August of that year, of the same year, just the director's cut. So it's 40 minutes longer, but it counts as their new release. And if you really look through this, the amount of movies that they're putting out are really low. Now, I'm going to tell you, like, I generally like their movies, but if we go all the way up here to the top, right? So for Apple TV, I just watched The Last Bus. The release date for The Last Bus was October 3rd. So that was basically a month ago. And that counted as the new release for Apple TV. I don't think that's fair. And so I'm gonna start adding a freshness multiplier to this week. And that freshness multiplier is gonna be, there's gonna be penalty points if it's not released within a 2-week window. I think I said actually 20 days. So I'm looking, there needs to be at least one movie on a streaming service per month. I think that's a really low bar. In all honesty, I think it should be almost 2 movies a month. So I think every 2.5 weeks, we should have a new movie on a streaming service. Like, we're paying for it. And so for this one, for Apple TV, because I don't have that option, right? The Last Bus, October 3rd, 2025. The next one that's going to come out, or just recently came out, is this Ben Stiller movie about his family, which is it's like 2 weeks old now. This is a documentary, so that doesn't count. The next one slated for release is December 12th. Now look, I already have it. I picked it up. I'm watching it around with my wife. We love sports, but I've got it. I can't review that. It's not streaming until December 12th, even though I'm watching right now. So that means Apple TV is baiting us, is dragging us along for a month. And, well, I mean, you can do the math here, a month and a half, 2 months, basically 2 months from this documentary to here. More than 2 months from The Last Bus to F1 movie. Now, look, they're labeling the F1 movie as the greatest sports movie ever made. I can tell you right now it's not, right? It's not the greatest sports movie that Brad Pitt's been in. So that's a complete misnomer. But so what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to choose either, I'm going to choose All of You. And that movie came out September 26th. And then after this 2-week window, I'm going to have to choose another movie. And that other movie I'm going to choose is highest to lowest because I've already seen Echo Valley. And The Fountain of Youth came out in May. And so this is where we have to have some sort of penalty for streaming services that aren't putting out enough movies. And Apple TV, while being worth it in the chat, while being worth it for TV shows, I don't think it's really worth it for movies just because they're not putting out enough movies. Now, the thing about it is, for most of us, like, Apple TV is like, you buy something and you get a month of Apple TV with it, right? It's like happening all the time. It's basically free for a lot of us. So that's where we are, Apple TV. We're going to have I'm going to call it a freshness multiplier, where if your movie came out within the correct time frame, or within a shortened amount of time frame, it's going to be times 100, all right, times 1.0, so it's your full score. And that's going to be your overall points. So if I go back to, I'm going to go back to this scene right here. And so the way that it would affect it is, for a movie that was outside of it, so say it was worth 0.9, then we would take The Last Bus 25 and we multiply it by 0.9, and we'd have essentially a 10% deduction because it's outside of the acceptable window of releases. Because remember, it's got to be recent. Okay, so that's where we are for Apple TV. Prime, I have to make a decision. So Apple TV, I'm going to kind of plot this out right now so that you can just kind of follow along and you'll know what I'm watching, and you can kind of do the same thing. Or what would be really cool is if you were doing this with me and then you chose your own movies, like, hey, instead of this, I chose this, and I think it scored better and it's a better representation for the streaming service. That's awesome. But for me, I'm going to watch All of You because it's shorter and it's the most recent one. So we know it's going to be All of You. It's also the guy that's in Ted Lasso, so a big fan of that. Now, Prime, there's 2 movies, right? One is called Hedda and one is called Maintenance Required. Maintenance requires a rom-com. It looks really like stupid. I mean, it could be fine. Hedda looks a little bit more serious, so I'm not sure which one of those you want to watch. Netflix, I have a bunch of choices. And then Hulu, I'm kind of limited on. I'm considering Hulu potentially merging with Disney and then dropping Hulu because all of Hulu's services can be pulled into Disney. However, Hulu is a self-standing service, so you can add Hulu for free, not for free. You can add Hulu by itself. Whereas like Showtime, the reason why Showtime isn't in this because Showtime you can't add without Paramount Plus. Stars you can add without anything. Showtime you can't add without Paramount Plus, and then Cinemax is like awful. So that's where we are right now. So we know the first movie is going to be All of You, and then Prime is going to be probably Hedda or Maintenance Required. Honestly, I'll watch All of You, which is going to be like a rom-com. I'll see how that one does, and if I'm feeling another rom-com, I'm probably going to go Maintenance Required. But Hedda is, I think it's called Hedda. Hedda's on all these lists right now. Yeah, Hedda's on all these lists right now, and also, I mean, it's a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's a 5.7 on IMDb. It's a 5.7 on Prime Video. So the score is kind of all over the place. This is one. Remember, Rotten Tomatoes is 6.0. Like, is it okay? 90% people say yes, but IMDb score 5.7 is really, really low versus Maintenance Required. Oh, oof. Maintenance Required, a 5.2 on IMDb and a 33% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 2.3 on Letterboxd. So I think what we're going to do here is we're going to go Hedda. And it's also sub 2 hours. And then with Netflix, we've got a bunch of choices for Netflix. So there are a lot of movies on Netflix right now that we can watch. House of Dynamite. What's the other one we got? There's a bunch. So I'm not too concerned with the movies right now on Netflix. Netflix is not difficult to find something to watch. Perfect Neighbor, I heard was really good. My sister recommended it, but that's a documentary. Ballad of a Small Player. Ballad of a Small Player. That's going to be the one I watch. I'm super excited for that one. So Ballad of a Small Player is going to be my Netflix choice. It just came out, so I mean, again, ton of choices already. Colin Farrell, love Colin Farrell and the Banshees of Inisherin. Plotting this out. I'm not sure how good of viewing this makes, but oh well, who cares? I'm just kidding. I care. And then this is one of the issues because Hulu is just not putting out a ton of recent movies. Yeah, number one movie is The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Number two is the Unholy Trinity, which it looks like came out in 2024, so that movie's old. We've got Last Seen Alive. When did this come out? 2022. So like Hulu not putting out really the big Anyone But You is their big new release, which came out, at least a year ago. 40 Acres is kind of the one that looks like it's on a bunch of images when 40 Acres came out, 2024. So Hulu might be the first one that I'm going to struggle with. But again, if you finish fourth, that probably means you have until the end of the week to get a movie out. So Hulu might get something in that time period. Disney, we know, is going to be the Fantastic Four. Peacock, I'm going to have an awesome decision to make. Let's pull up that Peacock right now. All right, so for Peacock, we have How to Train Your Dragon. We have Popeye's Revenge. No, I'm just kidding. Popeye's Revenge. We've How to Train Your Dragon. We have Megan 2.0. We have Jurassic World Rebirth, which is definitely what it's going to be. It's going to be Jurassic World Rebirth. Yeah. That's the big one. It's number one streamer. They got all the Jurassic Parks in there. And I love when streaming services do that. Can we just talk about how much I love when we have all the streaming services. They've got all their movies on there. They get the rights to everything. So all the Jurassic Parks are on there. You can watch them all. So we're gonna do Jurassic World Rebirth. So we're chugging along really nicely here. Plotting out the week, nice and easy. Now looking at stars. Okay, stars. We've got stars. Stars. We're gonna go ballerina. That's for the John Wick one. That's where we're looking so far. So I'm not like, this isn't like for sure, right? Like if new things get released, this is where I'm heading right now. But I mean, all of you, yes. Hedda, yes. Battle of the Small Player, yes. Hulu, I'm waiting. So Hulu will be that one I can try to like stretch out. And then Fantastic Four for sure this week. Get the release out on that one. And then you got Jurassic World Rebirth. I got Ballerina. I've got HBO coming. And then finally I've got Paramount. Okay. So let me go back to here so that you can actually see the spreadsheet, so you can see what's coming up, everything I'm filling out. I realized I was just typing all that stuff in and you couldn't see it, so it wasn't not great viewing by me, but we get better each week. So that's what we're looking at right now. Here's the order. All of you will get completed soon. Hedda, Battle of a Small Player, Fantastic Four, Jurassic World Rebirth, Ballerina. We're looking at waiting for Hulu to put something out. We got Paramount's going to have something soon, and then HBO has something each week, but we can also just slide in Weapons, have a rating out for it. I've already done a review for it. And we know it's a 6.65, which could get HBO some points, move everything up, and see some shakers. Okay, what I want from you, the audience, anybody that watches this, bonus points. There needs to be more bonus points rewarded for these movies. Like I shouldn't have like essentially 2 bonus points to award and only 1 can get rewarded, because if it's like poll. So poll would be Apple TV, right? So if Apple TV gets all of you's best movie, it gets an extra point. I kind of feel like it should be more. So give me your ideas for bonus points for this whole thing. And then there will be a freshness multiplier next week. So if we're choosing from outside of that allotted time frame, which I'll determine, and then create a freshness multiplier for it. If we choose from outside of that, there will be penalties for that. So like we know Apple TV could have the highest score, but they're gonna be penalized their weekly points because they're choosing a movie that was released a month and a half ago. So like that's not great for Apple TV. Okay, so I'm pumped about this. Let's quickly go to, so we've talked about Apple new releases. Let's talk about my Friday release videos. Now this is an awesome video. Each week I release a video on Friday, and it's essentially everything that I watch this week. I go over it really quickly, again, spoiler free. And what I try to do is that I'm really trying to put movies into 4 categories, right? Category 1 is like, this is a must watch movie. Like you need to see this. This is critical to watch. It's like, it's awesome. Watch it. So like the best recent movie I've said that's like, you have to watch. Like I think, The Monkey. I'm just kidding. But The Monkey is awesome. It's top 10 for me. So we got that, and then on the other end we have like category 4, which is like nobody should watch this. Like you should never see this. This isn't very good. Like I would waste my time. And then 2 and 3 are kind of like actually I'm gonna say 5 categories. 3 is gonna be like it depends on the person, right? It's like for Honey Don't, I can see a lot of people really enjoying Honey Don't. It's just not for me, right? So I think 3 is gonna be like that middle category. 4 is like, 2 would then be like, hey, this is going to be right for you if you're in looking at these things. And 4 is going to be, this probably misses because it says this and it's not that. So really looking at where these 5 movies ranking, or where these categories ranking in those 5 categories, which I did a terrible job of explaining. I realized I need a graphic for, because I'm a teacher. I know people like graphics. But this comes out every Friday. So definitely check us out. It's every movie I saw over the course of the week, even ones that aren't included in the streaming service war. So like I saw Pet Sematary Bloodlines. I also saw Good Boy. So I'm waiting for Good Boy to appear on a streaming service. I know it's going to end up on AMC Shudder. But man, Good Boy was weird. Good Boy was really weird. It's a horror movie from the dog's perspective. And you think it's going to be from like have some people in it? No, it's from the dog's perspective the entire time. So really weird movie. But I always like movies that try something different. So those are my Friday new releases. And then my shorts right here. This is going to be everything that I watch, I make a short for, and it's really quick. It's spoiler free. Again, I'm essentially giving you my entertainment score, my overall rating, and then I'm giving you my, just again, that comment on who is this movie's for, who would like this movie, who wouldn't, all that, kind of putting it in those 5 categories again. So those are my shorts. I think I've said everything that I want to say. Why don't we go ahead and wrap this video up? And thanks for checking this out. Like, remember to drop your comments below. Like if there's penalty points, like points that should be rewarding, bonus points, drop that below. Thanks for checking out the movie spreadsheet. check out the shorts, check out the Friday releases, and then I'm live every Sunday. So I'm hoping to build a big enough audience where we can have conversations. So that's what I got, and